Hey, what's up guys, my name is Joey Chimney. Today I'm going to show you how to use Blender as fast as possible. So what you're going to do is click on Blender to open it. Next, what you're going to do is you're going to click on General to put you into a 3D viewport. To move around in this 3D space, what you can do is zoom in and out with your scroll wheel, or you can click with your middle mouse wheel and drag your mouse in order to rotate. You can also pan by holding Shift and middle mouse click dragging. These are the basics of how to move around in the 3D viewport in Blender. Now, in order to adjust objects in the 3D viewport, you can use the tools on the top left. You can translate with the move tool, and depending on which arrow you click, the object will move in that direction. You can hit Ctrl Z to undo your last action. There's also the rotate tool. This will rotate your object in whichever direction you choose. And then there's the scale tool, which will scale in any direction that you choose. You could also scale all three at the same time by clicking and dragging the internal ring of the gizmo. So now you may be wondering, how do I add more objects to the scene? Well, to do that, you hit Shift A to open the add menu. Within the add menu, there's a sub-menu for mesh. This is where you'll find all your shapes that you can add to the scene. In this demonstration, I'm going to make a building. I'll click cube to add another cube inside the one that is already there. Now I'm going to click on the move tool and move it next to it. I'm going to scale this one up so that it's a little bit more looking like a building. There we go. Now we have a large and a small building right next to each other, two objects. And you could add as many objects as you want through the Shift A menu. So next, you might be thinking, how do I edit these objects directly? So far, I've only scaled the entire thing up and down and moved the whole thing. What if I just want to edit a piece? So what we can do for that is go into edit mode. What we've been in from now is object mode. That's where you can select an entire object and translate it. So what we want to do is click on one object and then shift click another in order to select both at the same time. And then we click on the object mode dropdown and go to edit mode. What you'll see is three buttons here. Now these buttons signify the pieces of the mesh that you'll be manipulating. You have the vertex, which are the points on all the corners of the mesh. You'll have the edges, and then you'll have the faces, which is all the actual geometry being surrounded by the faces and vertices. Leave it on faces for now. What you can do is actually add more geometry to manipulate. What you can do is hover over an edge and hit Ctrl R, and you'll see that it creates an edge perpendicular to it. Either click in order to confirm it, or you can use your scroll wheel to increase the number of edge loops you're going to add to your model. Once you have your desired number of edge loops, you can click, and you'll see that it lets you slide them around. You could choose where to place these edge loops, but if you want them to be evenly spaced out, you can right click and it'll go to the default position, which is evenly spaced out. So now what I'm going to do is add edge loops to each part of the building, so that way we have more things to work with. So I'll add some here, so that way we can do some windows, and I'll add some to the larger building as well. So that looks good for now. With the three buttons on the top by edit mode, we'll click on faces, so that way we're selecting faces. We'll select the spot where we want a door. And now for the door, I would like it to inset a little bit. So to do that, we're going to hit E to use the extrude button. Now the extrude button adds more geometry to your model, and you can either push out or inset inwards with this tool. So I'm going to do is inset just a little bit to give the illusion of a door, and then click and hit enter. And then I'm going to do the same thing for windows. And then I'm going to hit E, and you can see it could extrude, but I'm going to extrude it inwards just a little bit. And now you have a little office building. So these are all the tools you really need to know to create anything in Blender. You just have to apply them in different ways. People create organic models from cubes all the time. Some might argue that it'll end up stiff, but I don't think that is true. This snake was made with just the tools I taught you today. Thanks for watching, and make sure you subscribe if you want to see my future tutorials and videos. I'll be doing a lot of streams and a lot more Blender and Unreal stuff.